So we are on the hunt for cinnamon Imperials. They are cinnamon candies that can be used in like baking and especially like pretty common during holiday times, I believe. So we're gonna go see if maybe a Target has them. I tried finding them last night, but I had no luck. But I think there's another one that we can find. First stop is Target to see if they have them. They should. They said they did on the app, so we're gonna try that. There's crushed candy canes. I found them. There they are. We have found them.
Is there more than one bag?
Yes.
Okay.
There are 2 bags. So this Target for the win. And we only had to make one stop. Alright, so super successful finding the cinnamon Imperials. Great. One Target and it was done, which is awesome. So now I want to talk about like my favorite Apple device. And I'm pretty confident in saying that this is my favorite Apple device. And like other Apple devices can fill this hole, so don't hold me to like, oh yeah, but the iPhone can fit it, or the iPad can fit it, or like the Mac can fit this hole. Like it just can't. I think the future that I imagine this device taking is where a lot of people want it to go, but it just hasn't yet, and that is the iPad. I think the iPad Pro, or the iPad in general, is a super amazing tablet and super amazing computing device. And seeing the iPad really like blossom a bit in the last couple of years of Apple development like has been super awesome to see. Now, I would love for there to be a time and place where I can actually just use my iPad as my full computing device. I don't have to have any like asterisks around like what I do and what I can and can't use it for, because it should like I see a future where it's able to do as much as my Mac can, or for what I use my Mac for. So just to reiterate what I use my Mac for, it's Xcode, so app development and content creation. So Lightroom style, like photo editing, video editing, and live streaming. Maybe the iPad can't do live streaming, and I'm okay with it not doing live streaming because it is a very intensive task, especially the way that I use it. It's not just like a pass-through box. It's like I code and live stream at the same time. So like I totally understand not being able to do that on the iPad completely. But I do think the iPad is going to get to a place where I can do the other things on it and in an iPad type way. And I'm okay with it being an iPad type way and not being a Mac centered or computer centered way, because the things I really like about the iPad are the portability of it, the immersiveness of it, and how much it can actually adapt to the task that I need. So let's dive into what I mean by those 3 things. So first off, the portability. I mean, it's a single slab of electronics. That's it. There's no opening, there's no closing. Sure, if I toss it into like the keyboard, you can open it, you can close it, you can carry it around that way. Like, yes, that is a thing you can do. But it's still smaller than I think the MacBook Air that I have for work is slightly thinner than this, but it might be a little bit different on the diagonal. And I think it's definitely smaller than my MacBook Pro, than my personal MacBook Pro. So even then, it's lighter and smaller than like a MacBook that I would carry around for stuff, which is great. So the portability is definitely there. The battery life is also definitely there, which is awesome. And same with it was built to be a portable device that can pretty much fit anywhere. It fits in most of the bags. It fits in most places. And you have a variety of your sizes that can go from like the iPad mini to the iPad Pro, which is what I have. I have the 12.9 inch iPad Pro. Now, the next reason that I really like the iPad, besides the portability of it, is what I'm going to call the immersiveness. So how I treat the iPad is a really single-use device. So yes, you can multitask. Yes, I can hook it up to my Mac, to my monitor if I want to, and run Stage Manager and have like the 3 different like windows open and stuff like that. Like, yes, I can do that, but that's not how I use my iPad, because I like the single-use task of it. So you can multitask, but I like singular tasking on the iPad. It works better. The screen isn't quite big enough for multitasking. And also, the single-use task, like, just really helps me focus. So I guess this iPad, like, using the iPad I just have a mindset going in that I can only do one thing at a time, even though I know that's totally not true. And I definitely have use cases where I do multiple things at a time. Like if I'm using Swift Playgrounds and I need Xcode open, So if I have Swift Playgrounds and I need Safari open, or I need books open, like there are cases that I do use multitasking on the iPad. That's just not usually my go-to. And to me, it's a much better fit on my iPad than it is on my MacBook. Having a big 13-inch screen with just one app open and that's all you're looking at makes a really big difference in my productivity. Now, there is a diminishing returns for me. So like going to the 34-inch screen with one app like just doesn't feel as like productive to me. So like, of course, there's I use my iPad for certain things. So research, typing up documents, responding to like mail, stuff like that. Like I actually really like on my iPad more than I do my Mac. Then the third thing that I really like about the iPad, and this kind of counteracts my last point of like immersiveness, is the adaptability. The adaptability of the iPad is stupidly great at the same time. So like I said, I can just plug it in to my I can just plug it in to my monitor like I just did right now, and it works great. It works well. I run both monitors and can use it if I wanted to. That way, I've done that for LumaFusion to edit a video or two, and it was great. Would I do that all the time? No, but that's what makes the iPad really adaptable. On top of like being able to do external devices, what makes the iPad really adaptable are honestly the apps that are open. So you have the people who want to make like a SSH terminal app on iPhone. Well, that also crosses over to iPad. Like there's some really great apps on iPad that really allow for the power to be harnessed and used in a very iPad style without pushing it to Mac territory. And I think there's a really big we're seeing the lines blur a bit. There is something to distinguish between a Mac and an iPad. Like, so between a computer and an iPad, basically. Like, especially in my mind. So a computer for me can do everything. No compromises needed. I can access like the file system. I can access there's like a bunch of content creation stuff. Like there's just a lot more like openness to the computer than there is on an iPad. But what you get from the iPad is you get developers that are more constrained. You get apps that have a lot more limits to them, but they still adapt to the use case really well. So like I said, LumaFusion is an example of this for content creation. As much as I said, like it's great, but there's other things I can do with it. Like it's still a great app, like that can bring full-blown content creation to the iPad. Then there's also the fact that I can plug it into a Thunderbolt port, just like I can my MacBook, whichever MacBook. And you know, like there's also like that SSH app I was talking about. Like I can use it to SSH into my laptop if I need to, or into a DigitalOcean server if I wanted to. Like there's tons of different ways that you can accomplish the task that you're trying to hit with an iPad because of the app ecosystem. And I think that's really great, like for the iPad. And again, it brings in like that, as much as I say, like I like it for like I was saying the last point, like I like it for the singular task. Well, the adaptability by using the apps really hits home on that single task mentality for the iPad. And those are like really my main three reasons that I really like the iPad. So the portability, the immersiveness, and the adaptability of it. Let me know how you feel about the iPad in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video.